All right, welcome back for example 3. We're going to discuss this reverse FOIL method a little bit more, looking at a couple different options. But before we talk about reverse FOIL, let's talk about FOIL, okay? So we are multiplying two binomials here. This is our first. X times x is x squared, right? That's the first. The outside is x times -7, which gives us that outside. The inside, 3 times x, is a positive 3x. And then my last is 3 times -7, which gives me -1, -21. And then see, right here, the answer, this is my first, this is my last, and then this is the combination, 4x, of the outside and the inside. And what's happening? We have -7x plus 3x, and that equals -4x. So actually with these, with the outside and the inside, we're actually going to be finding the difference of those two, and that's how you get this middle term. So that is FOIL, right? Going this way, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna do the reverse FOIL. Okay, so what this says is when I look at this problem, okay, when I look at this problem, what do I notice that's different? What I notice is here we have a negative, okay? But this is the same, right? We still have a 1, so we can do our voot-voots. X squared is the same thing as x times x, right? That's where we're gonna get our first. We're trying to go reverse. And then what this tells us is that we are going to be taking the difference of the factors of 21. So the minus means the difference. So we're still finding the factors of 21, right? So 1, 21, 2, no, 3 times 7 is 21, 4, no, 5, no, 6, no. So this is it. These are all the factors of 21. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at the difference of the factors of 21, and we need that difference to be 4. Okay, and if you look at 1 and 21, the difference between those two numbers is 20. And the difference here between 7 and 3 is 4. So we know that it's going to be 3 and 7. Okay? Now we need a -21. So this is our last, right? So know that you're going to go 3 times 7. And when you go 3 times 7, you're going to have to get a -21. Well, how do you get a negative number? We talked about last how we got a positive number, right? Through multiplication, you multiply two positive numbers, you get a positive number. You multiply two negative numbers, you get a positive number, right? How do you get a negative number? Well, you get a negative number by 1 being positive and 1 being negative, right? So this is what we know, is we know that we need 1 positive and 1 negative to be multiplied by each other. Now the question is, well, which one is positive, which one's negative? And that's where we look here. We need a -4. So we need to put a plus on one and a minus on the other so that when we, add or subtract them together, we find the difference, we end up with a -4. So in order to have our answer be negative, that means that the bigger one is going to have to be negative, which means this one's going to have to be a positive. So when we go 3 times -7, we get -21. But when we go 3 minus 7, we end up with -4, which is what we need. So that lets us know that the 3 has got to be positive and the 7 has got to be negative. Okay, and that is the reverse FOIL when there's a negative right there. Okay, so let's look here at this one. Option 2. Well, what's different between option 1 and option 2? The x is the same, the x is the same, the 3 is the same, the 7 is the same. The only thing's different is this one's positive and this one's negative and this one's negative and this one's positive. Okay? So let's see what happens when the only thing that is changed are the signs. So the first thing we're going to do is just go ahead and do FOIL, right? So x times x is x squared. That is our first. And then we're going to do our outside. X times 7 is 7x. And then we do our inside. -3 times x is negative 3x. And then lastly, negative 3 times 7 is our last. We get negative 21. So this right here is our first x squared. This is our last. And this 4x is a combination of the outside and the inside. And now we're going to be taking the difference between the two. So notice now our middle number is positive, and up here it was negative, right? Well, why is that? You know, if you look, the bigger number is positive, which makes it, so that's something to think about. When we're going to go backwards, right, and we're going to do the reverse FOIL, right, we know we have x and x. And this tells us that we're going to take the difference of the factors of 21. Okay, so we know the factors of 21 are 1 and 21, and 3 and 7. And we know that we need to find the difference of 4, which is this, 3 and 7. And then we need to figure out the signs, right? But we need it to be a negative 21, so that means we're going to need a positive and a negative. But we need our answer to be positive. So if we need our answer to be positive, that means the bigger of the two numbers has to be positive. So 7 is going to have to be positive, and 3 is going to have to be negative, because when you go negative 3 plus 7, you get a positive 4. So that's why the signs are different. So when everything's the same and the signs are only different, that affects that middle term, whether it's negative or positive. And if we need a middle term that's negative, then the bigger out of the two is going to have to be negative. If we need it to be positive, then the bigger out of the two, when you're doing the difference, has to be positive. Okay, so I just wanted to kind of look at that with you guys. Okay, let's look at our first example. Okay. 3a. All right, so we're going to factor each trinomial and then check... that's supposed to say your, check you answer. Check your answer. Okay, so what do? We have the x squared plus x minus 20, and we know that there's a 1 there, okay? So I'm going to get my voot-voots going, voot-voot. And we have x and x, that's our first, right? So this is our first, this is our last. And then this number is the difference between the outside and the inside, okay? So we are going to be finding, we want to look at the last, and we're going to find the difference of the factors of 20, and the difference needs to be 1. So what are the factors of 20? Well, 1 and 20, right? But the difference, that's so far, the difference is going to be big. Like the difference between there is 19. So when you have a difference of 1, that means the numbers really need to be close together, right? Okay, but anyways, we got 1 to 20, we need 2 times 10, 3, no, 4 times 5, and they're really close, right? So what's the difference? 1 and 20, the difference is 19. 2 and 10, the difference is 8. 4 and 5, the difference is 1. Boom, that's what we want. So 4 and 5, and then we need to figure out what are the signs. Well, we need a negative number, right? So how we get that is by multiplying a positive times a negative. So we know we need 1 positive and 1 negative. Now, which one's going to be positive, which one's going to be negative? And we look at that middle number, and it's going to be positive. So that means we need the bigger number to be positive. So if 5's positive and 4's negative, negative 4 plus 5 is going to give us a positive 1, which is what we need. So that means the 4 is going to be negative, and then the 5 is going to be positive. And that's our answer, but let's go ahead and check it. So we're going to do first, x times x is x squared, and then x times 5, which is 5x, and then the inside, negative 4 times x, which is negative 4x, and then negative 4 times 5, which is a negative 20. So this is our first, this is our last, and then we do our outside and inside, and we end up with just 5x minus 4x, which is x. And you see, we got the same thing. We did it right. Woohoo! Okay, let's look at 3b. Okay, so we have x squared minus 3x minus 18. This is our first. This is our last, right? And this is going to be the outside and the inside. It's going to be the difference of the outside and the inside. So we're going to, let me get my woot-woots going. Woot-woot, woot-woot. Okay, x and x, that's my favorite one, super easy. So we're gonna be looking at the factors of 18, the difference of the factors of 18, and we need it to be 3. So let's look at 18. What are the factors of 18? So 1 and 18, 2 and 9, 3 and 6. Anything else? 4, no. 5, no, that's it. Okay, and we need a difference. This minus means we need a difference of 3. So the difference between 1 and 18, that's 17. Difference between 2 and 9 is 7. Difference between 3 and 6 is 3. Woohoo! Okay, so we know it's going to be 3 and 6. It doesn't matter which one you put this as. So you could put 3 here and 6 there, or 6 there and 3 there. Doesn't matter. And then we know that for the last one, we need a negative 18. And the only way that we get a negative number by multiplying, 3 times 6 is 18, is 1 is positive and 1 is negative, right? So now we just need to figure out, well, which one's positive, which one's negative. Is the 3 positive, or is it negative, whatever. And how we determine that is that here, the middle number is negative. That means our bigger number is going to have to be negative, okay? So that means the 6 is going to have to be negative. The 3 is going to have to be positive. So when you go plus 3 minus 6, you end up with that negative 3. And then that's it. You put the positive with the 3, the negative with the 6, and that is our answer. And now we just want to check it. So we're going to go x times x, which is x squared. X, and then, okay, that's the first. The outside, x times negative 6 is going to give us negative 6x. The inside, 3 times x is just 3x. And then last, 3 times negative 6 is negative 18. Okay, this is my first, this is my last, this is my outside, this is my inside. Negative 6x plus 3x is negative 3x, x squared, minus 18, and boom. It is the same thing. We did it. Woohoo! All right, on to the next problem. And now it is your turn, ladies and gentlemen, to check it out. So here is 3A and 3B. I want you to go ahead and try both of these problems. Here is my friend, the pause dragon. Remind you to pause your device. Go ahead and work out these problems. When you get done, press play and we'll talk about them together. All right, see you in a bit. Okay, let's see how you did. Okay, so this is our first, this is our last, and then we're going to be doing a difference of the outside and the inside. Okay, so I need my little voot-voots, voot-voot. X squared, x goes there, x goes there. I'm going to be looking at the factors of 15 that have a difference of 2. So factors of 15, 1 and 15, 3 and 5, and the ones that have a difference of 2 are right here, 3 and 5. And this is negative, which means I need a positive and I need a negative, and that's the only way I can multiply it together, 2 numbers together, 3 and 5, and get a negative 15. Now I just need to figure out, well, which one's positive, which one's negative. So I look at this middle number, it has to be a positive 2. That means the bigger of the 2 is going to be positive, because that's the only way. Minus a negative 3 plus 5 is going to give me a positive 2. So that means the minus goes with the 3, and the plus goes with the 5. And that's my answer. And then I want to go ahead and check it. So x times x is x squared. That's my first. Then my outside, x times 5 is positive 5x. Then I have my inside, negative 3 times x is negative 3x. And then negative 3 times 5 is negative 15. Here's my first. Here's my last. Outside, inside. Then these combine. 5x minus 3x is 2x. And then I just rewrite all of this, and this is my answer. I'm going to go ahead and check it and see if I got it right. And x squared plus 2x minus 15. Woohoo! We did it. So if you got that right, awesome, awesome. Let's see how you did on 3B. Okay, so this is going to be my first. This is going to be my last. And ooh, they're trying to get tricky. I'm going to add the outside and the inside. I'm adding them to get this middle number. Ooh, they try to be all tricky. Okay, so let's get my little voot-voots going. Voot-voot, voot-voot. Okay, and I'm going to put my x squared. I love this because it's just x and x. Super easy. And then I'm going to be looking at the factors of 8 that add to 6. Okay, so I'm going to write down all the factors of 8. So 1 and 8 and 2 times 4, and then that's it. So which of these add up to 6? So 1 plus 8 is 9, 2 plus 4 is 6. So this is my 1. I'm going to put my 2 and my 4 there. Now I'm going to need a positive number. So think about it. How do I get a positive number? You either multiply two positive numbers together and you get a positive number, or you multiply two negative numbers together and you get a positive number, right? So I have to get a positive. So they're either both going to be positive or they're both going to be negative, but know that I have to add the outside and the inside to get a negative number. So I'm never going to be able to add two positive numbers together and get a negative number. The only way I'm able to get a negative number is adding two negative numbers. So that means that both of my signs are going to be negative. And there's my answer. So if you got that one right, awesome, awesome. But let's go ahead and check it. So we're going to do our first x times x, which is x squared. And then we're going to do our outside x times negative 4, which is negative 4x. And then our inside negative 2 times x, which is negative 2x. And then our last negative 2 times negative 4. A negative times a negative is a positive. 2 times 4 is 8. This is our first, this is our last, and then we go ahead and combine that. Negative 4 minus 2x is negative 6x. X squared plus 8. Let's see, did we get it right? X squared minus 6x plus 8. If you got that one right, wonderful, amazing job. Okay, let's go ahead. That one was a little tricky. They threw in the plus. All right, let's look at this last one. Check it out, example 3. And so I want you to go ahead and try this one on your own. Here is my friend, the pause dragon. Remind you to pause your device. When you get done, press play, and we'll talk about it together. All right, see you in a bit. Okay, let's see how you did. So what do we have here? This is my first, this is my last, this is my outside and inside, and we're going to be finding the difference of the outside and inside. The difference is going to have to be 8, okay? Let me get my little voot-voots going. Voot, 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 voot. Okay, x and x, this is my favorite part. X goes there, x goes there, x times x is x squared. That's how I get my first. Then we're going to look at the last, right? So this is saying that I'm going to take the difference of the factors of 20, and it's going to be 8. So let's think about what the factors of 20 are. So we're going to have 1 and 20, and then 2 and 10, 4 and 5. So that's it. So we want a difference of 8. So the difference of 1 and 20 is 19. The difference of 2 and 10 is 8. Okay, so we know that that is going to be our answer, 2 and 10. Now we just need to figure out the signs. So we know for the last, we're going to go 2 times 10, and we need a negative 20. So how do we get a negative number? Well, the only way we get a negative number is by multiplying a positive and a negative, right? So now we just need to determine which number is going to be positive, which one's going to be negative. And you figure that out by looking here. Now our answer is negative. That means that the bigger out of the two needs to be negative. So 10 is going to have to be negative and 2 is going to have to be positive, because a positive 2 minus 10 is the only way you get a negative 8. Okay? So the plus goes here with the 2, the minus goes with the 10, and then there is our answer, and then we're just going to check it. So we have x times x, which is x squared. We have our outside x times negative 10, which is negative 10x. Our inside 2 times x, which is positive 2x, and then 2 times negative 10, which is negative 20. Then we just need to combine like terms there. Negative 10x plus 2x is a negative 8x. So yeah, let's see here. Let's check it. We have x squared minus 8x minus 20, so we got it. So if you got that one right, amazing job. You are doing wonderful, and that is it for this lesson, and I will see you for the next lesson, chapter 7, lesson 4.